Before going into this, make sure you've watched the first part.
Hey guys, it's me, Reshit, back here with another video. Now, what the heck is an Obsidian summit, is the question you might ask. If you followed the first step in this video, you might already know. If so, you know we covered the exterior segment of this dungeon. So without further ado, let's get right into
The interior segment of this dungeon. As of now, you've defeated Fervis, you're still in the exterior part of the dungeon, but a portal is about to change that. It spawns in the top of the room and you enter it to get into the interior. Here you'll spawn in the half-circle room in the Hall of Arcana, and you'll mostly meet Cult of Pyroclasm casters on your way to the boss room. There's not much to say about this part, since it's just basic clearing with the group. Try not to step in the magma, that's probably the most relevant thing to say. When you're done with that, you'll reach the Atrium of Pyromancy, or Trial of the Pyromancer. And so with my debatably incorrect pronunciation, the gates will close off to the room, and waves of enemies will start appearing. From each pool corner, 3 magma casters will spawn, and 1 enlightened caster will spawn for each of the central pools. When you're done messing around with those, a trio of Oryx and Thrall will spawn from each of the lava pools in the corners, except for the Executioner, who will spawn in the 2 central pools. When you're done with these monsters, you will face an Ashworm at the exit and the entrance, and you're done. An Obsidian crystal will appear next to the plate that offers some good loot. This we'll discuss in the end of the video, so let's get going. So you've killed the Obsidian crystal, but the fight is not over yet, since the plate will begin glowing red once again. If you stand on it, it will summon the second boss in a puff of red-orange particles. Close to the exit, Theris, the Arch Pyromancer, appears. He has 150,000 HP, so in the first 50,000 HP of the battle, he'll just chase the player around and shoot out a bunch of shots. This phase isn't that lethal unless you get slowed by the basalt and the lava blasts. Just keep a reasonable distance between you and the boss. When this phase is over, he goes to the middle of the map, gets invulnerability, and starts spawning 2 new types of enemies. The Obsidian Spire will spawn by his side and at the entrance. The Obsidian Spires are basically meant to keep the player away from Theris. In theory. Okay. And they're rather successful in that, since they will shoot out bursts of shots at a long range in a wave-like pattern. It's practically impossible to avoid these. If you get a hold of them quickly, you will receive a new message saying the Spire's presence brings death, the platform brings life. And as this suggests, enemies will start spawning from the lava pools, and they're trying to reach the plate. These enemies include the Enlightened Caster and the aspect of Obsidian. If any of them reach the plate within 10 seconds, all players on the map will instantly take 200 damage. 2 more aspects will then spawn, and this phase will repeat itself until you've killed them all. By now you haven't been able to kill the spires, but when you've cleared the casters and aspects, you are. 1 spire will lose its invulnerability, and you'll have to kill it. This phase will repeat itself for all 4 spires that are spawned. Theris shouts out, "No! My power!" And he'll stop attacking and lose his invulnerability, and you'll have a chance of killing him in the next 15 seconds. If he's not killed during the 15 seconds, or you forgot to bring your golden sword or the wizard, yeah, you're in for a treat, since he has regained his power, apparently, so you'll have to kill more spires and more enemies. If you get him down to 10,000 HP, he'll say he has died. I'm not sure where the 10,000 HP goes, but he shoots out 10 cores and drops his loot. We'll have a look at this loot table later on. You are now done with this room, and you can continue on to the Regal Passage. One interesting part of the Regal Passage is that, of course, enemies will spawn, but in the library you'll have a chance of killing the Obsidian Crystal. This crystal won't drop any white bags, but it'll give you a decent chance of getting the Sorcerer skin. You're done fairly quickly with the Regal Passage, but the next room, the Forge of Ignivius, is more important. This is where Ragnas, the god of the Forge, hides. You won't be able to fight Ragnas straight off the bat, but he'll test you and make sure that you're a worthy realmer. Stand on the plate to activate the boss fight. Ragnas will start speaking. He has not yet appeared, but he will spawn 5 golems in the middle pool, the forge itself. Next, some enthralled henchmen spawn. When you've killed those, some cults enemies will spawn. When you've killed the enemies, an Obsidian Crystal will appear beneath the forge, and you'll be able to get your first white bags. To be honest, I think this is a little early on, but maybe he just had to fit in those sets at some point, and he didn't want to introduce another boss. Nonetheless, Ragnas is gonna ask you to stand on each of the 4 plates once again, and you'll be able to summon him. Just think twice before you do, because he has 2 million HP.
Yes, he has 2 million HP.
And he's immune to fucking everything, except for non-vaccinated kids. Here's some projectiles. More projectiles! The main part of them gives you burning, slowed, and cursed. Now he has a very advanced shooting pattern, but he shoots much like Fervis or Theris and shoots out armor broken boomerangs like Bess. It won't hurt to know that since Ragnas has so much HP, you'll have to use some kind of mechanic, and of course this dungeon has it all covered. So first it'll go like this. Ragnas will teleport to either the top, left, right, or bottom of the room. He'll stay there for 5 seconds, and the players will have to stand at the 2 closest plates to him. When you've done this, he will teleport back to the middle, and summon a spire in each of the teleport spots. This will force the players back into the middle. Aspects will spawn, and you'll have to kill them within 10 seconds, or else every player on the map will become burned for 5 seconds. Now, when you've killed the aspects, the players will gain invulnerability, which is the first time we've seen this. Now, if an invulnerable player is on each of the plates, both the players and the spires will lose their invulnerability, and therefore you can destroy the spires and progress with the boss. If you fail this task, all players will become burned for 5 seconds, and it will repeat this phase until you've managed to clear it. When you've managed to kill them, Ragnas will become solidified, and his sprite will change. Make sure to check out the awesome gifts that are included in the document below. Within the next 20 seconds, he'll take 10 times as much damage. If you don't kill him, he'll just teleport to another spot and you can have a try again. When you've killed him, an obsidian crystal will spawn beneath the forge and you'll have another chance of getting the white back. The final chance. Because when you've killed him, you're done. Let's get on with the items, shall we? First, let's have a look at the drops of Ragnas himself. I would probably increase the amount of Potion of Lives you get, but let's have a look at the whitebacks. Although the sprite could need improvement, I think this sword is rather interesting since it ignores the enemy's defense. It also has a rather high rate of fire, but low damage. At least it gives you 2 attack for a little compensation. The range is nothing special, but it's a rather unique weapon. I think I would keep this for a swap out. In the last vid I said there was only 1 ring drop, but I was mistaken since this insane ring apparently exists. I mean, the 4 first stats aren't that special. 40 HP, 40 MP, it's to live with. But the effect of 15% more damage when below 75% HP, that's crazy. This could be very useful during the boss fight, especially on getting in your soulbound damage. For Theris loot table, we're having a look at the core Igni first. It's also a crowd cleaner like the Volcanic Crossfire, and is only outdamaged by the Cosmic Hole at about 41 defense. It has 3 projectiles, rather low damage, but a decent rate of fire. I probably still wouldn't use this for something else. I mean, it's a good weapon, but it's just lacking that quality to it. To the essence of Ignivius, this mana-based ring makes you want to spam your ability. 15% less mana cost for 75% mana, 6% wisdom, and this rather interesting ability choice. I see so much potential and situational use in this ring. It might be just a tiny bit too overpowered, but that's fair enough since the Ragnas boss fight is hard in itself. Moving on to the loot table that is right before the Ragnas boss fight. The Basalt Crest gives the paladin a chance to cosplay the priest. It gives healing and purity to everyone in the range of it. It will give you damaging on yourself when used, but group-wise it makes up for it. Much like Sarvox's heart, this armor focuses on agility. To me, by now, this is the least interesting item, but I would take it. I mean, the feat power is sort of sexy still. From the Trial of Pyromancer, we're looking at a robe and a spell. First, we have a DPS-orientated robe. Decent, but it's nothing due to the spell. It's highly damaging at 1600 average damage. It also makes sure to give you that sweet wisdom and mana boost. But you see, the real reason you would use this is the burning debuff you'll give the enemy for 5 seconds. The spell also grants 20% more damage during its effect duration. This feels like endgame. And with that, it wraps up the loot table. Well, we're not done with the sprites yet since he added some Valentine's reskins. I like the Cupid's Crossfire, but the Heartstone of the Magma Bulwark is, well, it's okay, but I mean, sprite-wise, I would probably redesign it. I like the Essence of Love. It's a good idea, and the Diamond Signet really does look like a diamond ring. ATrapper said himself that the sprites wasn't the best part of the dungeon, but I would argue that the best part of the dungeon is the dungeon itself. You can go ask him questions on the Discord, by the way, he's in. So the rest of this video will just be me rambling, I think, because there's not much other to say about the Obsidian Summit than please go support the idea, because I really like this dungeon and I've heard a lot about it from others that also wanted to include. So if you want it into the game, I would suggest supporting the idea onto the original RotMG Discord, or if you have some connections in the admins or something, I mean, hit them up. Tell them Reshit told you to come. I think they will probably accept you. To the ones watching in the future, I farewell you, thank you for watching this, and I'll just continue on with some actual stuff that's only relevant for the people watching now. So as you might have noticed, my uploading schedule is kind of, well, inconsistent, and it's because I'm working on a lot of projects. I would like to let you in on them, but they're, confidential, and they'll be released in about a couple weeks or so. But I'll try to finish them up as quick as possible so that I can finally pump out some content consistently again. As I've mentioned before, YouTube has sort of stopped promoting my channel since I went on vacation. My videos just stopped popping up in people's recommendation feeds, which is why I recommend you to ring the bell if you want to follow along. So that's it. See you.